As area students begin their holiday break, now may be the time to assess their report cards. It might show you signs that your child is struggling.
And recently we sat down with Janine Cyrus, who's an academic coordinator at Oakwood School, and Emily Miller, who's a special education teacher and former Oakwood student, to learn about the early signs of learning disabilities and what we as parents can do. So Janine, I want to start with you. How prevalent are you seeing learning disabilities amongst our kids?
Generally speaking, there are about 1 in 5 children in the classroom who are struggling with learning disabilities.
And that includes dyslexia, what disabilities?
Right. Primarily you're talking about language-based learning disabilities. Okay. They can say that more than 20% of the children have learning disabilities, but a large percentage of those children have dyslexia or a language-based learning disability.
Is it hard to know, just looking at a student as they're doing classroom work, if they actually have that disability or not?
Absolutely, because these students are very smart and they're very capable, and they also have these compensatory strategies to cover up for the fact that they're struggling. In fact, a lot of these students who have dyslexia are actually very intelligent and very smart, and so, you know, it's not expected that they're struggling, and so they see themselves struggling and they see other people being able to learn so quickly, and it can really affect their self-esteem.
Right.
So it's something we want to keep an eye out for.
And we're going to get into the red flags in a minute, but Emily, you have a personal story, right? I mean, you're a teacher now, you have your master's, but you had a learning disability.
I did. I had a lot of the very common red flags at an early age. I had a really hard time learning my ABCs. My mom also has dyslexia, so we have a family history of it. And I had some articulation issues. So around kindergarten, I actually was diagnosed. And after being in the school system for a little bit, my parents decided to take me out to go to Oakwood, which was a school for children with learning disabilities. And I was able to get the support I needed. And I learned that the learning disability isn't going to go away, but I can learn strategies to help me cope and do the academics that I need to.
And learning them early on is important, right? Like the early intervention, that's crucial.
Right. That's key. You want to be able to keep an eye out for the red flags, and also once you start to see them, you want to take advantage of any kind of early intervention that's out there. If you wait too long, that gap does start to widen, and it requires much more intensive intervention for longer periods of time. So if you can get at those red flags and start earlier rather than later, then that intervention, it's a little bit less challenging.
What are some of the things we should be looking out for?
That's a great question. So what you're going to be looking for is if your child was delayed in learning to speak, if they have, just like Emily was saying, she had experienced mixing up sounds and words, like saying Paschetti for spaghetti. Also not being able to learn the alphabet very easily or associate the sounds with the letters. So, you know, maybe they can recognize the letter B, but hearing the sound but, they're not able to associate the two things together. Also, if your child, if there's a family history of dyslexia, much like Emily was saying as well, then there's a good possibility that your child would have it.
And Emily, I mean, I love that your story, because you are proof that with the right support and just recognizing what's going on, you can succeed, and you have gone on to do incredible things, and you're not letting it get in your way.
I think the power of knowing and having a diagnosis, knowing that you're not stupid, really what it is that you learn differently, has really helped to empower. And being in a supportive environment with teachers that really have an understanding and having parents that really understood, I think really made a difference in my life and with my confidence.
Real quick before we let you go, what are some questions that parents should be asking?
I would be saying the parents should talk to the teachers, and don't just assume the teachers are going to be coming to them because they're seeing little indicators. I would say the parents should be asking the teachers, you know, how is my child doing? Talk about how they're acquiring their language. Talk about how does it sound when my child is reading, and also keep in mind what you're hearing when your child is at home with you. And then the parents could then talk to the child's teacher or someone in the special education department if they really are thinking that there's something greater going on.
I love it. There's solutions. There's solutions if you just identify it and get going.
Give